Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Rankum. It's going to be a fun one today. We're finally getting around to ranking Star Trek movies. And should be a fun one. But I've got a great panel here. Over here we've got Matt Kearns. Matt, how's it going?
I'm doing very well. I'm looking forward to this topic. Should be a good time. I'm very big Star Trek fan. Don't get nearly as many opportunities to talk about it as I would like to, but should be fun.
And then once he puts his headphones back in, we've also got Jordan movie hero Anderson. Jordan, how's it going today?
It's going good. I was gonna show this little picture that I got. So speaking of Star Trek, I went to a convention. I met Jonathan Frakes, LeVar Burton, and Will Wheaton. I got pictures with them, and then some of my other friends are all big Star Trek fans. So that was awesome. And I got to ask them a question of their panel, and so yeah, that was fun. So I'm excited for this. I'm a big Star Trek fan.
Yeah, no, I've got to meet a couple of people from Star Trek as well. Like
Oh,
I
nice.
met Marina Sirtis, and that, and there's one of those ones like I knew her more for other things she's done, because I think she's done a few episodes of Stargate, or I think she was also in one of the Arrowverse shows as well. I don't quite remember.
Oh yeah. And I've also got a picture with Sir Patrick Stewart. Maybe I'll show in another round. I've met him too and got a picture with him. So
but with that, how we like do these special episodes is because this is only like 13 Star Trek movies. Before anyone says it in the comment, I'm not counting Galaxy Quest, even though it's a Star Trek parody movie. It's not a Star Trek movie. It's just going to be an extended version, so we basically go around and vote on what we want to be at 12, and then we'll talk about that movie, and then we'll move on to 13 rather, move on to 12, etc. And then until we get, and that's pretty much the same until we get to number 1. But with that, Matt, what movie do you have at number 13?
So the movie that I have at number 13 is, let me pull up the board here, is Star Trek Into Darkness.
ooh, interesting.
Jordan, what do you have at number 13?
Oh, I'm gonna put. And if I get any of this a little off, this is my first time doing this format, but I think I know how it works. It's pretty straightforward. But if I do it wrong, let me know. But I'm gonna go with write it down. Okay, I have Star Trek: The Motion Picture is what I have.
I also have Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Right.
But so that Star Trek: The Motion Picture is going to be at 12. Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek: The Motion Picture?
Yeah, my thoughts about Star Trek: The Motion Picture is it is a very misunderstood movie by today's audiences. No offense, case in point. It is one of the best adaptations of the original series because it captures exactly what Star Trek is about, which is posing interesting questions. Star Trek is not a shoot 'em up action series; it is a philosophical series, and that's what Motion Picture is about. It's a movie that presents the question of who are we and why do we do the things we do. All the characters in the movie, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Decker, they are all having this existential crisis with this question, and then the villain of the movie, V'ger, is also experiencing this, and it's a fascinating movie. Like I said, the slow motion picture. It is, like I said, it's misunderstood. It's one of my favorite Star Trek movies. Like I said, I think it's number 2, only to another Star Trek movie that I think is the best adaptation of the show. If you want my more in-depth thoughts, I have an episode on this channel of Second Look all about the motion picture.
Yes.
But Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek the motion picture?
Well, I could be a little misunderstood on it, probably because I've only seen it one time, and that was enough for me to just be like, I don't need to see that again. That was fine. Like I don't even know what was even going on half the time. I'm like, is this even Star Trek? This is really weird. Then you got the guy. Not that it makes a huge difference now, because back then you didn't know, but Stephen Collins and from Seventh Heaven and stuff too. And you know what happened to him. He's not a good human being, but and or he just made some mistakes. I'll say that. But and yeah, just like for me, probably too many people talking in rooms. I'm not a guy that really likes that much, and I'm like just looking for like a little more oomph to my Star Trek, and maybe on a rewatch, I'll be able to appreciate some of the deeper tones, because I've rewatched a lot of Star Trek stuff. I just haven't gotten around to rewatching this one. So, but yeah, it's probably at the bottom of my list.
Yeah, this is one of those ones like when I went into this I've never grown up with Star Trek. I've never watched the series and that. So going into the movie sort of without seeing the show and that, like it's just one of those ones like it just I like just like John, like it's one of those ones that like I didn't really vibe with that much. Like just thought it was largely boring. It's like, and this was a rewatch from when I'm not gonna lie, as soon as like I logged on Letterboxd, like Matt was in my DMs sending me the link to his to his show, which is on Take 3
Which I guess you
um
did not watch.
Gotta check it
yeah,
out.
I probably will watch it at some stage. But yeah, it's just one of those ones that it. I mean, for what it's worth, like I thought the acting in that was great, and like it was an interesting story. It's just one of the when because I was going into this with the only ones that I've seen like at this point was the J.J. Abrams ones. Like that may have colored my opinion on it. I don't know. Just because that's my initial like the ones I've seen. And yeah, but you do have one friend here, Matt. JDH kind of agrees with you as well.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
But with that, we move on to number 12. Jordan, what do you have at 12?
So at 12, I have Star Trek: The Search for Spock at number 12.
I've got Star Trek: The Final Frontier. Matt.
I have Into Darkness still.
Oh, we've got a three-way tie. I'm gonna go to the chat. Chat, we've got The Final Frontier, Search for Spock, or Star Trek Into Darkness. First comment I see that is not from one of Matt's alternate cards.
My hands are right here, and I don't do that because the wheel is my friend, as we learned on this show, Malcolm.
Yeah.
I won't name some people on my channel that do that a lot. You know who you are.
Yeah, no, I know exactly who you're talking about too.
Yep.
Damn, really? I don't care this much about it. I mean, 13. What?
Oh, it's one of those ones like we know they just do it for the joke.
Yeah.
But JDH came in. It is going to be Star Trek: The Final Frontier.
All right.
But Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek: The Final Frontier?
I don't know. Let's see. Let me see where I actually have that one listed. Not that far off though, actually. So that's fine. But like it just I don't know. It's supposed to be the end to this like iteration of crew, right? And it just doesn't really like do a lot for me. I mean, it's good, but at the same time, I'm more of a next generation guy, so I don't really like get that emotionally attached with the whole send off and like all that. It just doesn't. And then really, it's not technically the last time we see that this some of this crew in a movie. We'll see some again, but and yeah, it just doesn't really do a lot for me.
I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I think you're confusing this with Star Trek 6.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Yeah. Star Trek 5, this is the search for God.
Oh, okay. So is that one? Then it's probably a little, maybe bump it up one notch on my own personal list. Okay, so this one's see, that's the thing. I haven't watched the original ones minus like about 3 of them multiple times, and all the other ones I've only seen like once. But when we get to some of the other like next generation, I've seen them like tons, like dozens of times. But yeah, and it makes it a little more interesting because I do remember that one, and that was one of the more like philosophical ones that actually I connected with more than the motion picture. Like I kind of like the themes and the tones and like where they're going with it. So yeah, that's just kind of my thought. I still have it only about 3 or 4 places higher on my personal list, but I'm fine with it where it's at. But yeah.
Yeah, like some once again, going into this sort of without seeing the show, like
Excuse me.
one of the it's similar to the motion picture. It just felt like the kind of very slow, and it's one of those ones like this is one I actually found the like whole philosophical bit.
Yeah,
yeah,
everybody said that word.
Interesting. It was like, and like, what does God need of a starship? And that a creator I've used in trivia actually multiple times. I think I've asked that question many times. But it's just one of those ones that as you'll see as we go on, like the movies of the OG cast really I didn't vibe with a lot, just because they did feel that very slower paced in that. But that's just me. But Matt's going to tell me like is because it's more like the show. But Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek?
Yeah, that's what Star Trek was for. This is not the time nor place to do this, and I got a very long show ahead of me. It's number 11 on my personal list, so it's not too far off. Yeah, it's the dumbest of the movies, from the original series at least. But you know what? It's got the OG3. It's got Kirk, it's got Spock, and it's got McCoy, and it's got some moments. I think the moment when McCoy is shown his father on his deathbed, and he has to like relive that moment, and then the moment when Spock's half brother, who's kind of the villain in the movie, is he's offering to take away the pain of all these characters and all this, and Kirk has that great speech about like, I want my pain, like my pain is what makes me who I am. But it is a really cheaply made movie because the budget just got like cut in half for this. Shatner directed this, and the script that he had was even way more like Kirk-centric, which DeForest Kelley and Leonard Nimoy were not into. So you had that going on. So it's not a great movie, but the reason why I put it above 2 other ones is simply because one, I actively dislike for multiple reasons we'll get to, hopefully sooner rather than later. And the second one I just find forgetful. So this one, although bad, I at least remember things, and there are slivers of moments. Will I ever be doing a second look episode on Star Trek 5? No. Do I own Star Trek 5? No. But I row your boat gently down the stream. It's a reference in every one of these two guys get. Because they go camping at the beginning and they teach Spock, row your boat.
Yeah, I know Spock like sings it within the series. I can't remember where exactly. Yeah. But
moving on to number 11, I've got the Search for Spock. Matt, what do you have for 11?
Into Darkness. Malcolm, you and I are going to have some conversations.
Well, sorry. because I've also got the search for Spock. So
Yeah, Search for Spock is going to be at 11. And yeah, look, this is one of those ones that like my this is like when I view my personal list on Facebook after this
Malcolm, did you do that
and
intentionally?
really judged me. I didn't. I really didn't.
You know, at least respect the movie a little.
Look, no, this is I mean, from here on, like, it's one of those ones like I didn't hate the Star Trek movies. I'm definitely going to go back to them. But like most of the like, with the exception of some, like most of them ended up being like around the like 2.5 star, 3 star mark. Search for Spock is one of the ones I gave 3 stars. Like, and it's one of those ones like, I like the story it was telling, and it was really interesting. Like, especially as a follow-on from Wrath of Khan, where it's like they're trying to find like Spock's body and all that, and it was just I found it just one of those ones that I thought it was a very interesting kind of story, and it's good. No, I'm really bad at talking about these because like I did watch them, but I'm bad at remembering stuff. So
it's all good.
it's a curse of old age.
This
But
one I have
Matt,
seen
what do you
most of
thought
the
about Star Wars being the spiritual spot?
I hate you. Is this because no one commented about your thumbnail? So now you got to do this.
No,
I can't believe you. Yeah, I love the Search for Spock. Is it the third best out of the Genesis trilogy? Yes, but it is still great. As Malcolm said, it's a really good follow up to Wrath of Khan. And I love how it is you really see in this movie how this crew is a family because all the characters at a point risk their careers, risk being jail marshaled to go and help their friend. And for Kirk, this is, for a character who the last two movies had sort of been struggling with his place as now being an admiral, this is kind of the movie to where he really kind of stamps his foot down and says, all the bureaucracy of Starfleet and everything, I don't care about. It's the people I care about. You have Christopher Lloyd as the Klingon commander, who I think is fun. Are you going to get a villain as good as Khan? No. But they didn't really try to. But of course, this movie, excuse me, has one of the best moments in Star Trek, which is the death of David. And Shatner's reaction to that is so reserved and quiet, and you just feel the anger behind it. You bastards, you killed my son. I really like the actress that they recast as Saavik. I actually think she's a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I love the ending. The ending of this movie is very classic Star Trek. You have the Genesis planet falling apart, and Kirk gets into a fisticuffs with the Klingon commander, which is what Kirk did throughout the show, was fighting. JTH, you and I need to talk Star Trek. Hit me up, because you and me are on similar wavelengths, it seems. Yeah, I really think this movie is really good. And Malcolm, you and I are going to watch these Star Trek movies together when you revisit them. So that when you have questions, you don't understand things, you don't just go, oh, I guess it sucks. I can explain them to you.
It's nothing to do with me now. I'm saying I can understand them enough. It's just one of those ones I just think can connect with them.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to 10.
I don't think
Oh, wait.
Jordan did.
Wait, do I get up my thoughts?
Yeah. Jordan, what are your thoughts about Search for Spock?
Yeah, so no, really the only Star Trek movie that I dislike is the motion picture. Other than that, I just kind of have them in like an order of like how much I like them. So I do like, yeah, Doc Brown.
Technically speaking, it was before, because this was 83 or 84, and Back was 85.
Like that, so. Yeah, and like the thing is, I just don't really care about a movie without Spock, and like it's like just like it could have been even more impactful if like he just died and that was it, and then maybe they added another crew member or they did something. But I mean, like not to replace him, but just to like have another crew member if they wanted to, or don't, you know. But I mean, but it's Leonard freaking Nimoy. He's like like maybe the best thing about Star Trek in a lot of ways. He's really awesome. I didn't get to meet him, but I was at a convention where he appeared on video and gave like a video message, so that was kind of cool. And just like there's some weird stuff going on with like bones and stuff, and he has like I guess Spock's essence or something in him.
Yeah, he has Spock's brain.
Yeah, and then so that's kind of funny, but also weird. And then the Christopher Lloyd stuff's fun.
Star Trek.
Yeah,
it's funny but weird.
Right. Yeah.
Also, technically, Spock is in the movie throughout.
Yeah, right. And then you have like other people. John Larroquette is a character in it. He's kind of interesting. But
John Larroquette's in this movie.
Yeah, he plays some kind of alien guy.
Oh well, that's why, because he's an alien. Okay.
Yeah, so you don't really recognize him.
Because I was gonna say, I feel like I would remember John Larroquette. In Star Trek.
But yeah, I mean, it was like largely kind of just like there's no Spock, things are weird. I don't know, just go back to the regular crew. But like, I do like kind of like you brought up, Matt, that like where they're willing to just go against Starfleet protocol and like they realize that this is bigger than all of that. Like they're a family. You really see the relationship and the bond and the brotherhood, where you see that in the Wrath of Khan, but you almost in some ways see it kind of more in the Search for Spock, especially like Kirk's like just love for him, and he wants to just find his brother and bring him home, and if he knows that there's any sliver, he's gonna do whatever he can to bring him home. And so like it's good, and like I'm glad that they made this movie for sure. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't interest me as much as some of the ones we'll talk about here in a bit. So yeah.
Yeah, but Matt, what do you have for number 10? Even if you
it's not changing. It's not changing until it makes the list.
Jordan, what do you have for 10?
So I don't have it written down yet, but I'm just gonna go with the final. The Final Frontier. Did we bring that one up already?
Yeah, that was the number 12.
No, so I meant to say the Undiscovered Country. That one, yeah. So I'll say Undiscovered Country.
Yeah, I've also got the Undiscovered Country. Yeah, unfortunately, Matt, like, and this is no slight, like, I hope Sandy's doing well. You might have had.
I wish he was here, but it's probably better because if I'm hurting, he'd be hurting a lot more. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good chance some of these might have gone to like more of a tiebreak too as well. So, but yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones like no hate to Sandy at all. Like, we're like sending all the love to you as well. But yeah, but Matt, what are your thoughts about the Undiscovered Country?
This is one of the best Star Trek movies. This is one of the best adaptations of the show to the big screen. What this movie talks about, it does what Star Trek does best, which is take the problems of our current world and show them in the 23rd century so that we can understand it better. What was happening in America at this time with the fall of the Soviet Union, everything was replicated with the fall of the Klingon Empire. And yeah, you could say, oh, well, it's not the 80s anymore. Nobody knows that. We still feel these things. We still feel these things about, can our enemies ever become our allies? Can we ever trust these people? And that is what Kirk is in this. He hates the Klingons. Hates the Klingons because since the very beginning of Star Trek, in like the first couple of episodes, the Klingons are the villains. The Klingons are the ones who murdered his son. And so now all of a sudden, because they're dying, they come to the Federation. We're just supposed to welcome them in open arms, forget all this. And it's great to see that and play it on the discussions between all the characters and you get all these different parts. And the end of the movie, this realization that Kirk has that no, we have to be willing to build and to understand that things are better here. And he talks about what the Klingon ambassador talked about, which was the undiscovered country, the future, how things will be better with the decisions we make now. And that is why this movie and its message is still important in 2024. And it has the phasers and everything that, later Trek films would have. And, but it still has these great discussions. And I just hope after this show, you two revisit these movies and hopefully understand that there's a little bit more in them than just pew pew.
Right.
Jordan, what are your thoughts about the undiscovered country?
Yeah, so the undiscovered country I do like. I still don't know like what the undiscovered country is, other than what you say, Matt. It's like they're looking towards the future and they're building towards more.
That's what it is, because in the movie, the Klingon ambassador says, "Here's to the undiscovered country, the future."
Yeah, because I'm kind of like after I watched, I've seen it 3 times, and it like after I watched it the first time, I remember going like, well, they didn't discover any kind of like anything, but I'm like, it's undiscovered country. That's the point. It's not. It's still undiscovered by the end, and also Christopher Plummer's giving a knockdown, drag out, awesome performance. Like he is so good. He may be like my best like non like of the main crew like from any Star Trek. Well, the OG series movie, and it's just really, really good. And then you get some fun cameos. You get like Kurtwood Smith in there. You get Christian Slater. You get to see just a glimpse of Worf just a little bit. Like he's just briefly in it, but he's there.
Technically his grandfather, but
yeah, right. Well,
yeah,
it's Michael
Dorn, yeah.
Playing Colonel Worf, I guess. So that's kind of like his grandfather, yeah. But and then you get Kim Cattrall in there. You get like a few kind of like recognizable faces. So that's fun, and I do like that. Is like the like core of what Star Trek like is like. Well, it's like one like seeking out new life and civilizations, but the Klingon, the like battle between the Klingon is like the one everybody knows, everybody wants to see, and I think that they do it really, really well. Like so, like I love this version of the Klingons. I know we're not talking about any of the TV series, but like what they're doing currently with Klingons, I don't even get. Like, I don't even know what's going on there. Like these are the Klingons I want to see, and so. Yeah, so I think that it's decent, but yeah. So well, actually, no, I'll say it's my second favorite of the OG movies. So yeah, so I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's just one of those ones. Like, I think it's just one of those ones. Like, it depends on what. Like, I think for a lot of them, it depends on the era of Star Trek you grew up in, or the era that you started watching these. Because like. With me, I started watching them in the modern era, like the J.J. Abrams movies and Star Trek Discovery and that. So that's probably
bless your heart, Malcolm. I'm sorry for you.
That's definitely why these ones didn't hit for me.
It's kind of interesting. I was just sorry to interrupt. I was just gonna throw in like so you're like more of like a JJ guy. I'm more of a next gen guy, and then maybe Matt could be more of an OG, a Star Trek guy.
I am a TOS person.
Yeah, yes. So like it's kind of cool to see all different. Viewpoints, you know.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's not one of those ones like we'll get to it when we get there. Like, there's some that surprised me with how far they ended up. Because once again, I've never never ever watched any of these series. Like, these are my first sort of things like seeing anything Star Trek. So maybe like it's one of those ones. Maybe if I grew up watching the series, but for whatever reason I just didn't watch the movies, then maybe this would be different. And as I was like, I'm not saying these are bad either, because I still like for the most part I like the movies, and I understand.
No, you don't have to make me feel better. It's okay. What are your thoughts on Undiscovered Country?
I was getting but yeah, it's one of those ones like, well, yeah, it's one of those ones that the themes and that do still like are still relevant today, especially with what's happening in like in the Ukraine and Gaza and all that. Like, it's definitely one of those ones. Like, and it was just one of those ones. Like, it was good. Like, it was, it's just one of those ones. Like, I forgot how good Leonard Nimoy was as Spock. Like, he was just like he was always just really good. But it's one of those ones like I actually did not I actually do not like Shatner as Kirk. Like, it's just one of those ones like it's I don't know what it is. I've never really like vibed with his portrayal of Kirk. But
You're more of a Chris Pine guy, right?
yeah. But it is what it is.
Oh, we'll talk
But
about the betrayal of a character you love so much and how they kind of destroyed him in his film series. Oh, we'll get to that.
I disagree. But anyway, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But we're moving on to number 9. Jordan, what do you have at 9?
So for number 9, I actually have Star Trek Nemesis for my number 9.
I also have Star Trek Nemesis.
Oh, there you go.
I have Into Darkness, but this is definitely number 9 on my list.
Might be on an island of your own for a while.
Yeah, I am. If Into Darkness gets into the top 5, I will not forgive either one of you.
We'll see. Yeah.
But Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Nemesis?
So Star Trek Nemesis for me is kind of like I went and saw it with one of my good friends that I grew up with, my buddy Mark, and afterwards, like, his thoughts were like that just felt like a really hyped up episode to me, and like I kind of sort of agree in some ways. I think Tom Hardy's great. Like, he's given a fantastic performance. And this is the one, spoilers, I mean, and these movies are old, but where like Data gives his life, and like it's just really like a meaningful thing, and it's just like and like, yeah, but like I do kind of see I don't know, like I just don't see like beyond that and beyond what Tom Hardy's trying to do. I'm kind of just like, I didn't see a lot of deep like depth and like that kind of stuff. It's more like simple, kind of like whereas like you have all these deep themes with some of the original series movies, and then you get to this movie and it's kind of like, well, it's just like more of like a space battle kind of thing. So it's fun for those fans that like really love that kind of stuff. And I'm kind of mixed. I'm in the middle. I like some themes and deepness and that kind of stuff, but I like some space battles and things exploding and seeing all the cool ships and all that stuff. But so it's kind of like a combo for me. So I do really like it, but it's kind of like the one I like the least of the next generation movies. So yeah.
Yeah. Look, I was almost going to joking like just stick to the meme and vote for this to be last because back when I started doing trivia, this Star Trek movie cost me a match because
Dang.
it was in my first match when they were doing the IMDb round at the end. It was like, I knew it was a Star Trek movie. I knew it was either Insurrection or Nemesis. I picked the wrong one. The answer ended up being Nemesis. But it's like,
oh man, the IMDb round, that takes me back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I think you might have been coaching that as well with the first.
Really?
But
yeah,
also too. But like, not to interrupt.
Sorry for you.
When I bring up Tom Hardy, I also want to. So I meant to throw in the Romulans there, because the Romulans may be the toughest like race that like the humans have ever gone up against. I mean, the Borg's up there too, but the Romulans are really like crafty and tricky, and so yeah. I just wanted to shout out the Romulans on it.
Yeah. But anyway, but after watching the movie, I think I think Star Trek Nemesis actually gets too much hate. I've seen a lot of people like hating this and like not liking it at all. But it's decent. Like it's a good movie, and it's one of those ones and this is one of those ones where especially for next gen, you can definitely get like the whole where the switch kind of started, where Jaja kind of got the inserting more action-y stuff into it because like it kind of started with the next gen one and it's and so like you definitely I can't remember if it was this one or the other one where it's got Patrick Stewart like climbing up a thing looking like
No, that's Insurrection where he looks like John
John
McClane.
McClane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's Insurrection.
Yeah. So but it was a fun movie, and Tom Hardy was great as the villain as well. But Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Nemesis?
Yeah, so here's the thing about Star Trek Nemesis. As a Star Trek movie on its own, it's fine. It sort of tries to Wrath of Khan things, and out of the two wannabe Wrath of Khans, this is certainly the better one. It continues to not understand the character of Jean-Luc Picard, which these movies basically, except for Generations, all kind of do. That's a much larger discussion. So I think the thing about this movie is, again, as a just Star Trek adventure, it's fine. As a finale to the Next Generation crew, that's where I think a lot of fans don't like it. You compare it to Discover Country, which, gave every character really, good stuff to do, and it really was sort of a celebration of the original crew. This one just like, they don't really know, like, Crusher's in this, but what does she do? They force Riker to, they force this scene to where Troy gets sort of like mind deaf by one of the Romulans so that Riker can have a fisticuffs at the end of the movie. It doesn't really work. It doesn't really work at all. And I, again, Brett Spiner's great, and the ending between Data's brother and Picard is well done. But again, I think the problem is just I think there was, and I don't know really about the production of the movie, but it almost feels like the script existed, and then someone said, we're not going to do any more Star Trek movies, so this is the last one. And they were like, oh, we'll just have Data die at the end, and that'll be satisfactory. And it's not.
Yeah.
No, because I don't know what the budget of Nemesis was, but like I just looked up the box office. Like it didn't make a lot. So I think because it bombed at the box office might have been part of the reason to not
No, they definitely knew going in this was the last one. That's why they have Riker is getting the command of his own ship, and again, Data's death and all that. They knew this was going to be the last Next Gen movie. Even the trailer talks about that, like one final ride or something.
No. Voice. What I was getting at is I'm surprised they didn't do movies like the Deep Space Nine crew or the other one.
Probably because this Bond, and they were like,
that's where I was.
And then also Enterprise got canceled, I think, around this time too. So they're like, maybe people just don't care about Star Trek anymore.
Yeah, which people still do. Come on,
people do. They do. They do.
I just went to a convention, and there's thousands that do.
That they do.
Well, I mean, people must have cared about it for them to want to like revitalize and start doing new series anyway.
Well, that's also because everything has to be a pre-existing IP. But we'll get to those when we get to those.
Oh, and sorry, just throw one thing in it. Since it's the first Next Gen that we talked about, here's my picture of me dressing up as Gambit with Sir Patrick Stewart right there. So with my buddy Sam, so he was awesome to meet. So yeah, but anyways,
you're trying to make a name for yourself there.
Yes,
I see what you did there.
But moving on to
remember it.
But moving on to number 8. I have got Star Trek: The Voyage Home. Max.
Ooh.
No. Into Darkness, but no. Jordan, don't.
Well, I realized I misspoke. The probably let me see the Undiscovered Country might be my third favorite because Malcolm, you just brought up that one, but I'm actually with you, Matt. I'm gonna say Into Darkness. So I'm finally here. So I don't love it, but I think it's got its moments. So
Malcolm. Certain question. I was thinking we were like a Kirk and Spock, and now I'm thinking we're like Kirk in a red shirt.
Ooh, red shirt. What my friend wore to
the original series red shirts, not the next gen one, where's the commanders.
I mean, I prefer Kirk and Khan itself.
Oh, okay.
But
you can do that.
But yeah, and Star Trek Into Darkness is actually my second favorite Star Trek movie. Because like I rewatched it and we'll get into the other one when we get to it. But it's one of those ones like I really it like these series a lot, and it's one of those ones like on the rewatch, like it was one of those ones that I realized I liked it more than what I originally had it rated ranked as well. So it ended up going up on this rewatch. And it's one of those ones like, yeah, I get the whole criticisms that it's basically Replica and all that. But it's just one of those ones that that
it is Replica.
I probably enjoyed it a little bit more. It's more action packed, and it's just one that I thought was more fun, and I've always enjoyed like Pine as Kirk, and Zachary Quinto I thought was good as Spock as well. Like while he'll never be like Leonard Nimoy, and I don't think he's trying to be Leonard Nimoy either. But he's still putting his own spin on it, and just all the other supporting cast like John Cho, Simon Pegg as Scotty, and
Anton Yelchin. Rest in peace.
I was getting there. Like I think they're all good enough. I think they all added to the movie, and yeah, but Matt, you can now have your thoughts about Into Darkness.
This movie gave us every warning of why J.J. Abrams should not have done Star Wars, and yet we did not listen, even though none of us could pick that.
That's true.
This movie, okay. Malcolm is a perfect example. If you did not care about Star Trek, the things this movie does would not bother you whatsoever. But if you care about Star Trek, and particularly the original series, what this does is so bad. It is a bad photocopy of a photocopy of something great, but it does not understand why that thing was great. Benedict Cumberbatch trying to be Khan is awful. You know, I mean, look, we don't have to get into it, but I mean, the weird whitewashing of a very famous non-white character was a choice. Throwing the Klingons in randomly just because, hey, that's identify iconography. But you get to the ending, and the switch is so meaningless, and there is a difference between, because they're both the second films in their respective series, but the one being a movie that was built off of 3 seasons of a television show of development, and one that is you're building off of a movie to where these two characters spent the first 2 acts of the movie being antagonistic to each other and were very separate throughout the first 2 acts of this movie. And we're supposed to be super impassioned when Kirk dies and Zachary Quinto screams, "Gone!" And the bad photocopy of a photocopy, the turning what was once an emotionally driven, final act between Kirk and his greatest villain into just a punch 'em up with a guy that we just met, and then you also have freaking RoboCop and his weird like hidden starship thing that I don't know what that was about. It almost seems like this movie is two scripts slapped together. One of them is the Peter Weller. There we go. I was gonna call him Frank Welker. I'm like, that is not RoboCop.
Yeah.
Peter Weller. That weird, yeah. That weird, like, well, it's not weird. I mean, it's science fiction, but there's that, and then there's Wrath of Khan Light, and they for some reason thought it was smart to smush them together. And it's not, because you know what? The Peter Weller thing, that could have worked. It could have worked. That's a very Star Trek-y thing. Another movie of this has a big admiral doing evil things. It could have worked. But J.J. Abrams, who I don't like as a filmmaker, once again had to prove that he's only good at taking other people's stuff and just doing it, but not understanding the reasons why it worked the last time. This is, to me, the laziest and the worst Star Trek movie of all time.
But Jordan, you've got to follow that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you probably should have me go last there.
Well, my thoughts aren't quite as deep, but I think that like if you just said this was an action movie and not a Star Trek movie, and you just take out everything that you know about Star Trek, I think it's a pretty decent movie. I think that it's just a fun action movie about a terrorist that comes in to take out the Starfleet and comes into, like, I don't know, you just like wreck shop, and there's some fun stuff from that perspective. But I do understand how this movie kind of, like, I get what the fans of Wrath of Khan that like love that movie so much that kind of takes a big dump all over it in a lot of ways. It just and there's some weird stuff in it. I don't know. I don't really love like Spock like going toe to toe with Khan, and it's like I don't know what that thing is they're on. I haven't heard it called the giant flying garbage truck thing. I don't know, but and it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's not. It's certainly like just like takes everything from tries to take everything from Wrath of Khan and just doesn't do it good. Does it way worse than that. And so I can kind of see it from two points of view, because I kind of fall right in the middle as to how much I actually enjoyed the movie. Because I'm like, okay, this isn't Star Trek. This is something really weird, and they're trying to be Star Trek so hard to the point where, like, even the trailers is like the worst kept secret of all time that Benedict Cumberbatch was playing Khan, and he went by like John Harrison.
Yeah, it's supposed to be this like big reveal.
Yeah,
but they put it in the trailer.
Yeah, it just didn't really make any sense to me. So I get why people say it might be the worst one. For me, it just falls in the middle. Like, it's a fine movie. It's certainly the worst of the J.J. Abrams for me. So I'll say that. But
which also, you put it in the trailer, but like, case in point is Malcolm is the perfect thing. Malcolm, you watch that trailer, you don't know who Khan is. Why would you care that the guy's like, my name is Khan? You're like, oh, his name is Khan.
Okay, sure.
Funny enough, I think they accidentally spoiled it at a Comic-Con or something, because I think Benedict Cumberbatch was doing interviews and accidentally
Benedict Cumberbatch, and he has the balls to be trashing Tom Holland on the Infinity War press thing. Come on.
Yeah.
Fair, Mr. Spoiler at comic conventions yourself.
I'm pretty sure I remember hearing about that before the trailer even happened.
I also think this was I'm trying to think of years. This was probably my introduction to Benedict Cumberbatch, which
could be.
Yeah. Thank God
came
out not too long afterwards.
Yeah, because unless you watched Sherlock.
No, Sherlock was my introduction to him.
Yeah.
That's it.
But I will say, though, just my like final thought is that it's a great action movie, kind of a not very good Star Trek movie. I'll say that.
And it's number 8.
Moving on, Matt, what do you have for 7?
I have Star Trek Beyond.
Jordan, what do you have for 7?
Yeah, I didn't write it down yet, but don't don't kill me, Star Trek fans, but I have Wrath of Khan at my number 7. Sorry. Those two are close by each other, actually.
Well, it is going to be a three-way tie. I've got The Voyage Home. So, chat,
Okay.
we've got The Voyage Home, Star Trek Beyond, and Wrath of Khan. First comment I see in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to bring up the real.
We'll see. Oh, this will be interesting.
Oh shit! I don't know. Brian,
Oh shoot! He was the first one. Oh, ooh, that's it.
You guys can follow me at _Matthew on Twitter, MattMovies611 on YouTube, and right here as the host of Second Look and the Fandom Podcast. You can also find me as the co-host of Simple Tricks and Nonsense with my buddy Abe Flores. And if you like Star Trek, me and Sandy Robinson on our old show, Rhyme and Reason, we did a 2-part episode on Star Trek that you find on the playlist. All right, you guys have a great night.
Yeah, all right.
But,
and we lost Matt.
But Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Wrath of Khan?
Tell us why it's the greatest Star Trek movie.
No. You guys go.
Okay, Jordan, what are your thoughts about
Sure. So I think that that's really good. Like, and I just I'm just not like as big into the OG series, and that's what it comes down to. I think for me it's the second best one because there's another one that I connect with a little more, and I love the relationships. I love the themes. I love the sacrifice in it, and I think that it's really, really good for what it's doing. I just think people kind of put it on a pedestal that for me it's just kind of not quite there. And just and yeah, I don't know, but I think though it's the best that we've seen from Leonard Nimoy in anything Star Trek. I think he is top notch, just so good. But I mean, beyond that, I just don't connect with it as much as probably 4 or 5 other or 6 other ones maybe. So yeah.
So I know Jordan will get this reference, but yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm not
Look,
Steve Rogers in this moment.
But yeah, no, this is one of those ones this is my favorite out of the original series cast. And it's one of those ones I do think it's a good movie. It's just one of those ones once again, it's one of those ones because and well, yeah, I know everyone's it's the greatest Star Trek movie ever and all that, and going in with these kind of things, it's one of those ones that, and look, and it's one of those ones. Before anyone says in the comments, I went into this with a blank, with no expectations. I took all preconceived notions out of my head because I didn't want it to color my opinion on the movie. And it's one of those ones I like it's, but it's just one of those ones but it's just one of those cases that I like the ones that are above it more. Am I surprised that Jordan had this above the other original series one? Yeah, but it is what it
Get
is.
to these original series are kind of ranking right for me. So,
but Matt, what are your thoughts about Wrath of Khan? Were you still in protest?
No, I can't be in protest. Look, this is a democracy. Unfortunately, once again, I say I'm so happy Sandy wasn't here because he don't need the heartache. Look, I don't care if people sit here and say that I'm one of these, brainless doters who just goes, Wrath of God is the best Star Trek movie because I don't understand nothing and I gotta just go along, because that's not it. Wrath of Khan is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It is a movie that I am emotionally connected to in a deep way that I don't even really need to get into on this stream. It is a really beautiful story about getting old and the difficulties of that, and how our past mistakes can come back and haunt us in a really, really bad way, and how every decision we make in life leads to the next, and regret and vengeance and all these things, and it's wrapped up in this incredibly human story of Kirk struggling with everything. He meets his son again, and his son hates him. His greatest foe from his past is now trying to come. It's that conversation he has with Carol Marcus, to where he's like, I have an enemy who's trying to kill me, and a son who would like to help him do it. And you have that relationship between Kirk and Spock, which is so lovely, and like off the bat, it's whatever, joking around, aren't you dead? And then he gives him the tale of two cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, a message perhaps, Spock. None I can think of, except for, of course, happy birthday.
Yeah.
And then you get to that final act, which is, you guys are talking about, you like a lot more of the actiony stuff. This is submarine warfare done at its best in the Nexus Zone of, they can't see each other and they have to just sort of play this cat and mouse game. And how Khan in this movie sits right behind Darth Vader, to me, as one of the all-time great movie villains, because he is just swallowed up by vengeance, and he's been plotting this against Kirk since season 1 of Star Trek, and now he's going to exact his revenge. And he, at the very end, he starts turning on that Genesis device, because even though he didn't kill Kirk the way he wanted to, I'm going to take you with me, my last breath. Spit me. And then you have Spock's sacrifice. And you have that moment between Kirk and Spock. It's not done, like in Into Darkness or even something like BVS, to where it's just like, we just met these characters, but we're going to kill them off just because this is not that. And yeah, okay, he comes back in the next movie. It does not matter, because the emotion of that is still existent. And I get Malcolm is a newer Star Trek fan, and I totally respect Jordan for being more of a next generation fan. But I think there is which again, I think just because this movie, unfortunately, like The Empire Strikes Back, is just one of those, people put it up there, and some people just put it up there just because unfortunately some people aren't very logically thinking about film, and so they just have to follow the grain. A lot of people miss the strength of this movie, and I love this movie. Like I said, it is literally number 7 on my list of favorite films. If 6 movies did not exist, this would be my favorite film of all time. And it's numbers.
Yeah. Well, at least it got ranked above Into Darkness, at least.
Yeah. If this got ranked below Into Darkness, I actually would have left this stream, and that's not a joke.
Yeah. So,
just for
and
fun,
Malcolm, I have an alt account that you only used when I was in college. You are so very lucky that I did not pull it out here. You should respect that.
But just for fun, I'm going
for my own sake. Who was it who had Wrath of Khan on their board?
Wasn't me.
It was
just going in the book there, Jordan.
Yeah.
It was like an elephant. I never forget.
Just for fun, I'm going to see what the real would have said. Had no one commented.
Yeah. We leave it up to chance, I guess.
Well, Matt doesn't. It would have been Star Trek Beyond. So,
Okay.
but
Once
anyway,
again, the wheel is my friend. Apparently, my only friend on this stream. Thank you, Wheel.
Look, it's once again. I know I've said this before. I don't hate the movie. I think it's good. It's just
Maybe you don't have to pity me. It's
we don't
okay.
make
Just go on to number 6.
But anyway, moving on. Jordan, what do you have for 6?
I have Star Trek Beyond. So
I don't care if that's a pity vote.
fittingly enough, because the wheel spun it. So
I've got Star Trek: The Voyage Home. Matt.
Yeah, Beyond.
Yeah.
Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Beyond?
So I actually really like Star Trek Beyond a lot. I think that the one thing though that I don't like is I hated the trailers for this movie. I hated them. I thought that they were god awful trailers. I don't like the way that they like combined the modern music.
Wasn't it Beastie Boys or something they had in there?
Yeah, the Beastie Boys that was in there. And I'm a huge Beastie Boys fan. I love the Beastie Boys. I'm like, for Star Trek, that does not fit at all. That is not.
Well, until I saw Justin Lin directing, I was like, oh, I guess the trailer makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, right. And so I'm just kind of, and I think they even had like some other trailer with another modern song maybe in it, but yeah, it's just like, so the trailers I don't like, but the movie though I thought was a lot of fun though. I thought that there was like great relationship between Kirk and Spock, and from like Bones and all of that, and I like that they go to this planet, and it's a cool looking planet. They get to go in this really cool ship. I really like Sophia Boutella in it. I thought she was a lot of fun, being like the weird, cool alien chick, and it looked really creepy. And I mean, Idris Elba, I thought he was good, but I didn't even like love him. I thought he's good. Like I love him as an actor, but like what he was doing was good, not great to me. Yeah, and like there's just a lot of cool, fun things. They're like climbing up rocks and mountains and like trying to traverse this planet. And like that's one of the things that I wanted to see, because the Star Trek stuff that I love the best is when they're encountering new species and new civilization and new planets, and they're exploring and they're discovering new territories and just all kinds of new stuff. So I'm like, what kind of new thing are they going to come up with next, versus kind of like rehashing it? So it felt like kind of fresh to me, and it just kind of worked, and it had enough action in it too. I'll throw in that was fun. It was a good time. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah. But yeah, when it comes to Star Trek, I haven't seen this in a while. I was actually about to start. I started rewatching it, but just didn't have time to finish it. But it's one of those ones, like, especially having seen the like the OG series finally, like it's one of those ones like I got what they're going for in they, like, I think when I first watched it, I didn't like this nearly as much. I didn't like this much because because I felt like they kind of took a really sharp 180 turn from the one where there was like a very big action heavy movies and to this exploration one. And now I've seen the original ones, I kind of get that they're trying to go back to that kind of vibe, which I think it was fine. Like I remember liking it enough, and yeah, but based on sort of what I've sort of seen on this rewatch, it might end up actually going up for me. But Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Beyond?
Yeah, I've seen this movie twice, and it's really forgetful for me. Like, it's forgettable, not forgetful.
Yeah.
Forgettable. It's kind of just, it once again does this trilogy's favorite thing, which is destroy the Enterprise. Don't know why they love doing that, but okay. I'm all for a story of, the characters do more Star Trek-y things. But ultimately it just comes down to, as Jordan said, Idris Elba is just he's there as the villain. Again, look, I think it's well established already. If no one can understand, I'm way more of a TOS fan. So, like, whilst I think Pine and Quinto and and everybody else, they're not horrible as these characters. I just am like, I got 6 movies with the original people playing these characters. I'm much rather so it's fine. It's probably the most Star Trek out of these 3, but that doesn't save him from just being forgetful. And motorcycles and Beastie Boy, like, what's that doing in here, man?
You don't need that.
But again, they got the director of Fast and the Furious. But hey, at least they didn't bring back J.J. Abrams, because God only knows he would have gotten a remake of First Contact probably if he was still doing this.
I think he's still I think he's still got a script credits. I think he still had something.
He's probably a producer.
He definitely produced it.
He probably was a producer in the same way Tim Burton produced Batman Forever, which is he did it.
If it was J.J. Abrams, we would have gotten like a total like a remake of something with everything for the fan service here and there and everywhere. So,
yeah.
This one it was actually written by Simon Pegg.
Wow. Well, that's probably why it's like a halfway decent Star Trek movie.
Yeah, no, I think
and also Scotty has a lot to do in it. So
now that explains it.
Yeah.
He wrote himself a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just so it was a so he returned as a producer so he could focus on The Force Awakens.
Which most likely means he did nothing. He just put his name on it.
Well,
no.
He
was prepping Star Wars.
Yeah.
He was like, I liked what I did with Into Darkness.
But it was an interesting kind of thing when it comes to the directing, because when J.J. Abrams didn't want to direct this one, Roberto Orsi was originally would have come on. That would have been his debut, but then other people that was considered to replace him was people like Edgar Wright, Rupert Wright, Morton Tildum, Daniel Espinosa.
Edgar Wright Star Trek movie, that could have been interesting.
Yeah,
and Jonathan Frakes also expressed interest.
That probably would have been really good.
Yeah. He's great, yeah.
KTH, this is the worst Transformers list I've ever seen.
Wow.
I don't understand that, but I love that comment.
But anyway, moving on to 5. I've got The Voyage Home. Matt, what do you have?
I have Star Trek Generations.
And Jordan.
This is going pretty good for me. Most of what I say goes where I want it. So Star Trek Generations. So.
But yeah, but with Star Trek Generation, this is ended up higher than I thought it might have been. It would have gone for me. It was this ended up sort of third for me. And with this, and once again, this was kind of my first knowledge of the Next Gen group. I never watched, as I said earlier, with the original season. I haven't watched the Next Gen either. And it's one of those ones I've always enjoyed Patrick. I've seen sort of clips of him as Picard, and I think I might have actually watched the first season of Picard as well. But so I was at least familiar with him, and especially with him going I'll have a tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Yeah. That's his thing. It's really gross if you've had it real.
But it's just one of those ones with this one, just seeing him and Shatner do a crossover thing where you get to see them both interact together, which I don't know if they ever did in the actual TV series.
No, McCoy was on the show and Spock was on the show, but Kirk never made an appearance.
Yeah, and it was like, this was one of those ones like I read about the making of this, and at one point the cast, because I don't think anyone told them that it was just going to be a small section of the original series cast either, because I think Robert Goldberg said in the thing that she felt kind of lied to when she realized that who Nichelle Nichols wasn't going to be there in the end, because she kind of thought it would be cool to have to be able to share
well,
the
the
screen
thing
with her.
about that is originally it was supposed to be Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, but then Leonard Nimoy and Forrest Kelly read the script and they're like, we're not going to do this. These lines have nothing to do with us. You can give it to any other people. So you know what they did? They brought in Scotty and Chekhov and they didn't change the lines at all. So
Yeah.
they were right.
Yep.
Well, no, because I think Scotty and Chekhov were always going to be there anyway. Because I think it was just a case of Nimoy and because no, this one, from what I read, there was going to be like 5 of them, but when Nimoy and that left, they gave the extra lines to Scotty and Chekhov. But anyway, it was one of those ones I thought it was a really interesting story. That kind of like that I think it worked perfectly, like as to bridge this gap with like this is going to be the farewell to Shatner and all that, and it's going to sort of bridge the gap between
Passing
the
of the
next
torch, as they call
it, and it was just one of those ones. Especially when we'll get to when we get to another one in a minute. Because this is one of those ones where I really like it, even though it did kind of feel like it was also. It did kind of feel like they may have been originally planning as maybe a TV movie or something, because it kind of just felt like that at times as well. But yeah, I'm not calling a TV movie as an insult, so it was still good as well. Like,
yeah, the next gen movies have that problem of most of them kind of just feel like 2-part episodes.
Yeah, it was good for a TV movie.
But
which again, Star Trek has next gen has great 2-part episodes.
Yeah, they do.
But Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Generations?
When Kirk and Picard are together, it's really, really good. The problem is Kirk and Picard are only together at the very end of the movie. So the whole like Malcolm McDowell and Picard kind of just hopping around places, I just didn't care. I don't know why they did that and moved Kirk and Picard being together at the very end. I don't know why you wouldn't just have earlier on having them come together, because that's like, look at the poster. That's like what they were marketing this movie on. So overall, it's better than some of the other ones because of those interactions between them. I think are really good. I think Shatner and Stewart play off each other very well. It has Kirk's death, which is, I have quoted that before when I've left projects. It was fun. But yeah, the movie is, it's got some good elements to it. I mean, when you see the Enterprise D, having to be, destroyed, it is hard because, you were with that ship for, 7 seasons. But as a lot of people say, like, I think it's 2-hour finale, All Good Things, is like a much superior Star Trek movie to this.
Yeah.
And Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Generations?
Yeah, so I like seeing like the old and the new cast come together in a way. I wish they would have had all of the OG cast, but it makes sense though. The script isn't great in this. Like, it's kind of like some of the lines are pretty cheesy, and especially what they give the OG cast, the lines for them, and it's just kind of like but what I do like it is that it's for me just a a journey for Picard, and I am a massive, like I've already mentioned, a Next Generation fan. That's like my comfort like show. It's like whenever I have a bad day or I need something like a pick me up, I'll go watch that. I'm currently doing a rewatch because I'm always doing a rewatch. Like I'll finish it, I'll just restart it. But I am currently like halfway through season 6 right now. It's just kind of off and on whenever I have extra time. But yeah, like I really like that they're kind of doing something unique with the Nexus and Soren and all that stuff, and you see what his life would be like if he was supposedly truly happy, but it's kind of like his projection, what he thinks would make him truly happy, and like just him kind of getting sucked in, and he has to come and wake up, and then I guess there's a whole thing, the Soren's real thing, like it's almost like a distraction of what he's really doing, and he's trying to blow up a star, and they have to try to stop it, and so I like how Kirk and Picard come together at the end, and I actually kind of like that they come together at the end, because it's been a minute since I've rewatched it, but I think that like by that point, is all the rest of his crew dead? Is he like the last one left? I can't remember, but
well, he's trapped in the Nexus. That's the problem. Is the rest of the crew are all dealing with he's in the second act when he tries to stop. I forget his character's name. Soren,
yeah,
did you say?
Soren,
Yeah, when he tries to stop him and he gets trapped. That's why he kind of tries to go and find Kirk, because he's like, I can't do it on my own.
Well, so I was wondering, I
don't know why I did those hands,
but I was wondering, if Kirk by the end is all the OG cast dead by then? That's what I was.
Oh well, I mean, I guess in relative terms of like ages of where those characters would have been in the 25th century. I mean,
yeah,
what do you call it?
Like
Admiral McCoy was pretty old in the pilot episode, and Spock was really the only one, because Scotty, if I'm remembering correctly, his episode was like a time travel thing, is how he wound up there. So
yeah, so but I kind of like it though that when he teams up, he's kind of doing it for like his crew, and he's doing it to like be remembered and to help, like if he can't help his own crew, he's gonna help this other crew and other civilization be able to survive. And it has a good message by the end of it. I mean, it's not the strongest Next Generation one by any means, but it's not the worst to me either. So I think it's like kind of like the second worst one, but like when I say worst, it's not even like worst. I should say like third best, maybe. I'll say that. So yeah.
That's all I had to say.
While you guys were talking, I was quickly looking at the sort of production history of this, and it was a really interesting kind of production, because apparently it was the studio mandate that only one of the original cast appeared in the first minutes and Kirk only returning at the end. But other requests that they made included a Khan-like antagonist, Klingons, and a human starter plot. At one point, the writers toured with the idea of pitting the two crews against each other, because they were obsessed with the post image being the two enterprises locked in combat, as like Kirk versus Picard, one must die.
Damn, that would have been cool. Except the only problem is that they would have had the Next Generation crew win.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the writers couldn't come up with such a plausible explanation for such a conflict and abandoned the idea.
Man, never heard of that before, but I never even thought about that. My middle school ass was busy thinking of a Star Wars Star Trek crossover.
Yeah, yeah,
we got to let studio interference. I mean,
it leads to so many great films.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I think it's one of those ones, because I think I kind of get why maybe they wanted it that way, but maybe they didn't want the original cast to sort of overshadow the next.
No, 100%. That would have happened, because you got to remember, the Next Generation, it was a very popular TV show, but the original series, they were coming off of successful movies, and this was also during that time to where movies were up here and television was down here. Nowadays, it's a lot closer because of streaming, but 100%. And like I said, what most likely would have happened is the Next Generation crew would have had to win, and all the people like me would have been like, what are you talking about? Those people spent 7 years just looking around at things. Those guys spent 5 years in fighting wars against Klingons and all that.
Yeah.
You think they're gonna lose to the real Greg T guy? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those ones like talking about Kirk's deaths, like more one of the writers were called, they wanted to aim to do something high, do something different and big. They knew they had to have a strong Picard story arc. So what are the profound things in a man's life they have to face, and morality tops that list. They did tease the I don't know who they would have done it, but apparently they teased the idea of killing off a Next Generation cast member, but then they vetoed it, and then someone suggested that
Who from the
Kurt
Next
John-
Generation hated their time on the show.
Well, if you're gonna
You know
gonna
what?
kill off a
Honestly,
Next
they probably
Generation-
killed off Beverly Crusher because let's be
Yeah.
honest, they do nothing with her in these movies,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
which sucks because she's like my third favorite member of the crew.
She doesn't do anything until like season 3 of Picard. If you want to compare that to a movie, which doesn't do anything.
No,
in the
I'm just
movie.
saying, like in
Yeah.
the movies, she's just like there.
Yeah.
Really awful for how great she is. So yeah, they probably killed her off.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like I think
What,
think,
Malcolm? Because she's a redhead.
no, I was
Rangers
about
have
to say, like,
souls.
well, no, I was about to say, like, but I think even in the original series, they don't really do a lot with Uhura either in the movie.
Yeah, they really don't. There's even a whole season of Next Generation where she's just not there, and it's a different doctor. I don't know why.
Yeah,
um,
I'm not really into that season.
but
Yeah.
anyway, moving on to number 4, Matt, what do you have for 4?
Star Trek.
Jordan, what do you have for 4?
Was it working out pretty well? Star Trek 09.
I've got Star Trek: The Voyage Home.
Mm.
It's actually really funny because like the list started off with both me and Jordan being simpatico. It's like now it's like Jordan and Matt being simpatico.
Yeah,
Yeah,
except
right.
the difference you got to realize is me and Jordan are being very similar on like the bottom half of my list,
Yeah.
not the top half of his list.
That's probably true. Yeah.
It's just because a lot of movies I like a lot more.
So in that way, we're
Hard
kind
not
of
here.
like opposite. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it was funny. It was like there's me and Jordan simpatico up to when you revealed the Epicon. Now was like the whole.
Yeah, that was the
whole
turning point. Yeah.
But Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek 09?
All right. J.B. Abrams is a really big Star Wars fan and not a big Star Trek fan, and that's very clear when you watch this movie. Look, I kind of, to enjoy this movie, I try to separate it from Star Trek and just kind of look at it as like a space action movie, and it's fine. I love the bar scene at the beginning. It's one of my favorite movie scenes actually, just because I think it's a really good sort of introduction of Kirk's character, like how he hits on, Uhura, if you don't give me a name, I'm gonna have to make one up for you. Uhura, no way, that's the name I was gonna make up for you. And then when he gets in the fight with everybody, I think that's really, really good. I think Zachary Quinto is okay. Bring back Leonard Nimoy. I thought that was really smart. I think if they didn't bring back one of the original actors, that would have been a bad call, especially with the story they were telling, which is basically wiping away the original series. But as a Star Trek movie, it unfortunately trades quiet conversations and sort of trying to take problems of our world today and make it pliable for people to really think about these things, and instead turns it into like Mr. Plinkett made the joke in his review, but it's like, oh, what do people remember about Mr. Sulu? Oh, well, there's that time when his brain is kind of messed up and he's got a fencing sword, so now Sulu is a sword guy. Like, okay then. It's okay, but it's it's not the best.
They do a lot of things with fencing. Actually, if you think about all the different Star Trek series, there's fencing in different series. It's kind of interesting. Picard was a fencing guy.
I mean, it's not that shocking. I mean, fencing is,
Star Trek Discovery, they had a fencing guy in there.
It's it's an old art form, and Star Trek, does like to sort of reference historical things.
Yeah.
But Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek 09?
So I love Star Trek. I can't remember, I remember just going to the theater with a group of friends to go see it, and we weren't sure what to think. Like, ooh, a new Star Trek with a new cast, and they're like replicating the original series, and then I remember like seeing this and absolutely loving it. But then we saw some movie that came out around the same time that was horrible, and I can't remember what it was now. I almost want to say it was that Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes, but I can't remember the time frame if that's when it came out. But it was something like that.
That was 2001.
Yeah, so probably wasn't that, but it was something. Yeah, but I thought it was a lot of fun, especially in this movie. What they do with Captain Kirk. I thought that Chris Pine did a phenomenal job, just like being Kirk, but kind of a new version, because you see the things with his dad, and you see the journey of if he wants to be a captain or not, and like the decision. You see his connection with like Spock and Bones, and like it's just like, I don't know, they did a really good job setting up, because I think that's something that J.J. Abrams, he's really good at. He knows how to set things up and started it off with a bang, and then it kind of goes downhill from there with most of his stuff. But Lost is a big one for me that does that. But yeah, and I don't know. I thought that the villain, you had Eric Bana kind of doing like Star Trek like Nemesis type of villain, because I think he's a Romulan, I think. But and
yeah, he's a Romulan.
Yeah, and so that they do that, but this is kind of where like the start of like where all Star Trek, even including TV series, kind of got way more action heavy and less on like the philosophical themes and stuff. It still had it in there, and the relationships and all that stuff, but it just kind of is starting to like it just be more action heavy and that as a whole. And I wish they would get back to it. I'm waiting for a Star Trek series to get back to what the OG and even like Next Generation did. But yeah, it was really fun. And I remember walking out of the theater just being like, that was so good. And I hope that they continue like to do what they did, and they sort of did, but not like as good though. So this is still the best one for me. So yeah, that's kind of my.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but doesn't Strange New Worlds sort of go back to the exploring?
Yeah, I think that.
I don't watch new Star Trek.
I haven't watched it yet. I've seen everything Star Trek's ever done, but except that, and some of Enterprise. I didn't see all of Enterprise,
but yeah, I mean, I've said this like a couple times. This is kind of what sort of got me in like. This is really my stats to Star Trek was. It's one of those ones like and it's just one of those ones like. I think this was at a time when I was just going to see more movies anyway. Because I think just remember. Actually, I don't think I saw this in cinemas. I think I watched this on DVD because I hired it out one time. I was like, I'll check this out. And it was just one of those ones like I thought it was really well done, and it's just like the whole like Chris Hemsworth backstory and all that as well. I thought it was a lot fun to see as well. And it's one of those ones. I can't remember if they actually made it clear if Leonard Nimoy's Spock was from a different universe altogether, or if he was supposed to be Quinto Spock from the future.
No,
I think
he is because this starts the Kelvin timeline, so he's from the original series timeline, and he got pulled into the black hole that then creates the Kelvin timeline. So Zachary Quinto Spock grows into something that is not Leonard Nimoy.
No, it's
he's just a Vulcan.
That's what I was getting there. I wasn't overly clear on that, but
yeah, probably because that was another mystery box that J.J. Abrams didn't have an answer for. Because that's all he's good at. Is he's just like, I'm gonna strike these threads where they're going. I hope somebody else figures out because I don't know. Once again, Jordan brought up Lost.
Yep, exactly.
I guess Evan.
I disagree with Lost. But I actually really loved all of Lost. I thought.
No. You can like all of Lost. It's just you watch season 1 again. I don't think they were setting up for what they ended up doing. But that's a lot of TV shows.
Yeah, I like it, but it kind of goes like a little downward for me. Yeah, as the season.
It might be an interesting list later as top 12 J.J. Abrams projects. But anyway,
I will not be on that episode.
I'll do it.
Well, I mean,
12 movies J.J. Abrams has ripped off. That I'll be on.
I mean, I don't think it's help, to be honest. But anyway, but it's just one of those ones that, and it's one of those ones. It's funny enough, like it's why I wasn't too surprised to see a Beastie Boys song in the trailer for one of the Star Trek movies, because I believe it was this one.
It's when he steals his stepdad's car. He's listening to the song.
Playing,
but there is a bit of a difference of a song being used in a movie scene to where he's a rebellious kid and marketing your Star Trek movie with a Beastie Boys
song.
I mean, no, that's what I was getting at. It might have just been a case of because of this first one, it's like Beastie Boys like licensed songs to them. It's like, look, you can if you have a place for these songs, you feel free to use. Just happened to be that one of the times they use it was in the trailer. But if they were gonna vent for a little bit, but it's just wait till Matt gets that. But it's just one of those ones like I think we said it before. It's like if we had an extra person or then it could be different because
I know
when I sort of. And actually, I don't know if I'll post a poll. Like, I don't usually post a poll for these ones. I usually get people to list their rankings. But just one of those ones. Like, this is there's definitely going to be a big discussion in this, especially with how low we've got one of the movies. But it is what it is, and it's just one of those ones. Like, it's why it's interesting, sort of doing this, especially with 3 like completely different Star Trek fans. Like, you've got with a new fan like and me with the original series fan and someone who's been a fan on since they could walk. And then you got someone who's more of a fan of the Next Generation ones in Jordan. And so it's just interesting seeing how this is come together. And for the most part, like I think it was like we only had to go to the chat like once or twice.
Well, I think I started watching Star Trek when I was maybe like 8 or 9 years old, so like pretty young. And I started with the Next Generation because I remember on Sundays they used to have reruns of Next Generation, and it could have been I can't remember when the Next Generation finally like aired its last episode, but I think like at the same time.
94.
So like near the same time that they were airing new episodes, they were already having reruns in like syndication. So I would see some of these, and then so I started off just watching random episodes, and then when I finally got to go back and rewatch the whole series, there was like probably half the episodes I hadn't seen the first time. So like this is kind of interesting. I've seen half and kind of out of context and like what's going on, and then I finally piece it all together, and then it made me want to go back to the OG series. So I did that, and then I don't really know what series I would rank second because it's pretty close between OG and Deep Space Nine. I think they're both pretty good, but also Voyager. Like I watched all of Voyager. I love that too. So it's a tough one, but But like definitely Next Generation, I'll go back anytime and watch that all day. So
Um, um, I was just quickly looking at something, but
yeah.
um,
Well, it's curious because you could have any number of different people of different Star Trek fans, and this list is just totally different, like depending who you
oh
have.
yeah, no, it's one of those ones that it's just gonna be one of those ones like um, it's just gonna be one of those ones where like when I post my personal list, like it's probably going to be a lot different from Matt's personal list.
Yep, and then mine and all of it. Yeah. Yeah.
But moving back to this, Matt, what do you have for number 3?
I have Star Trek Insurrection.
Jordan, what do you have for number 3?
Well, this is working out great. Star Trek Insurrection. There you go. For me.
I've got Star Trek: The Voyage Home.
All right.
But Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Insurrection?
Excuse me. Yeah, this is probably the next gen movie that fits the it feels like a two-parter of the show the most. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it has, an interesting story about, visiting this planet to where whatever it is, the atmosphere or whatever, it basically it kind of slows your aging down a lot. And you have the sort of villains working with this admiral trying to basically steal that and force these people off of their planet. And Picard has that really interesting dilemma of just like, this is not like what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to decide, the next step of evolution for these people. I like that scene between him and the admiral where he's like, it's only 500 lives. And it's like, how many does it take before it becomes wrong? The issues I have with this movie are, once again, Picard doesn't really act that much like Picard because they try to make him an action guy, which it's, the action scenes are cool, but it doesn't like fit the character. But again, I'm an action movie fan, so that whole moment with him at the very end where he's like, "You wouldn't risk rupturing this, would you?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I would." And he takes his phaser and shoots it. Yeah, it's solid. I actually like this movie quite a bit. Yeah.
But Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek Insurrection?
Yeah, so one of the things that I liked about this is that it's kind of different than a lot of other Star Trek movies in the fact that like this movie starts out with a bang. You start out with like a total action scene. They're done on this planet. You have Data kind of like half cloaked or something like that, and then like and yeah, I believe it's I think it's Data, Picard, and Riker. I can't remember like what three, but and yeah, they're just exploring this planet, and it turns out to be not what it seems. It's supposed to be like a blissful planet where nobody ages and that kind of thing, and then it ends up being where the kind of like Matt said that someone coming to steal that and use it for their own, like whatever they want to use it for themselves, and like one of the things that I kind of like is that like it's a little more like Data heavy. I'm a big Data fan. Probably my second favorite after Picard of any Star Trek character. But he does do some weird stuff too. There's like some things that like fans complain about where like he like I don't know if it's his emotion chip or something. He turns on and he's singing. He's like working on stuff and doing annoying singing and like weird stuff. But it's kind of quirky and kind of different, And like I don't mind that like when they can take characters and they can give them subtle differences, but like don't change the core of who they are for sure. But I mean, just doing that I think is fun and pretty interesting. And of course they give like Picard almost kind of a love story of sorts. And yeah, it's just I think that's one of What I like more, it's probably my second favorite of the next gen movies, and yeah, I have a good time with it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, this is one of those ones that surprised me by how much I enjoyed it because, like, I think this had a whole lot of heart to it, and this, because it wasn't it was I think this is the one that had Geordie with that his without the laser Cyclops visor type thing.
No, that was
Um,
First Contact.
Oh
no,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That was First
uh,
Contact. He just randomly was just like, I don't have a visor anymore. We're not going to explain
um,
why.
but I mean, Star Trek Insurrection, like I still think it was a very fun movie. Like it's one of those ones like it's just really enjoyable. And as corny as it might have been, I actually did enjoy the like the whole John McClane moment where Picard's sort of climbing up that cliff, like
Like,
the um t-shirt
like you're
and
going hunting, or like it looks like you're going on a hunt, and he's like goes
yeah.
off and like with the guns. Yeah.
But just very quick before we move on to do the number ones and that I did find what I was looking for when I was looking for the '09 Star Trek. Apparently the other two other people that auditioned for the role of Kirk, we had Chris Pratt and Timothy Oliphant also auditioning for the role of
Jimmy
Kirk.
Oliphant, I think, was probably too old in 2009. Chris Pratt in 2009? That's before Zero Dark 30, so he certainly wasn't in the. He would have had to do a big workout to.
Yeah.
What because I mean they would have
He could have worked, actually. I think Pratt could have worked.
well I mean they would have been around the time where he was still in Parks and Rec.
Yeah, he was so.
So,
That's what I'm saying. It was before because Zero Dark 30 is when he had like his first massive weight loss for a role, but that was well after. This was like when he was because this 09, so this would have been like season 3 when he was a series regular. So he was still
yeah.
chubby, lovable Andy Dwyer.
Well, I think that Timothy Oliphant could work as a captain, but maybe not Kirk. But like as
Yeah,
a
no, I liked Timmy Oliphant as an actor, but when he's too old, and I don't think he just don't.
Well, I mean, unless maybe they were playing with the idea of maybe having an older Kirk or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like-
he could have.
but
Olifantastic.
because I mean,
Kevin
like,
Smith
it's one of those
reference,
ones like I'm not going to try and go through all the production notes for this to just find out if it changed in the cast point. But what I will say is like the part I was looking for was Chris Pine actually sent William Shatner a letter and got a reply with William Shatner approving his casting.
Oh,
That's nice. There's a great video on YouTube of Shatner watching people's impressions of him.
Oh yeah, I've
He
seen that.
talks about Chris Pine. It's pretty funny. And then also for
Yeah.
you Schmodown fans, he looks at Sam Levine's audition for Freaks and Geeks, where he
yeah.
where he did a Shatner impression.
I'm guessing he doesn't like it because he seems to not like most impressions of him.
No, it's a pretty funny video. He does it's Shatner, so it's I recommend watching it because it's pretty funny. Like he there's a SNL where John Belushi was him, and he's like, "What are you doing, Belushi? He didn't look good in the suit."
Yeah.
He also did a whole bunch of research, but then he stopped because he felt way down to the fact that footage of just copying Shatner, like then he decided to sort of focus more on the humor. But anyway, they decide moving into between the voyage home and final first contact.
Final
Matt,
first contact.
Well, I messed up
Final first contact.
but Jordan, what do you have for number one out of the two?
So we mixed up the Final Frontier and First Contact, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, for number one, I have First Contact. I absolutely adore that movie, and it's the one I've seen the most. I've seen it like 24 times. It's great. So.
My number one is also First Contact. Matt, what is your number one?
Voyage Home, but
first. Before we talk about First Contact, we are going to talk about Voyage Home. Matt, what are your thoughts about the Voyage Home?
So, Voyage Home is my number 2 favorite Star Trek movie. But if we are ranking the Star Trek movies by being what they are, which is film adaptations of the show, Voyage Home is the best Star Trek movie. Because, again, as I said, when we were talking about in Discover Country, it is taking the issues of today and putting them into the 23rd century so that hopefully we as the viewer can understand them better. Because that's the thing is a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it was the one with the whales. That's a little heavy-handed. It's like, yeah, you ever watch Star Trek? Yeah, they're pretty heavy-handed with their messages, but that's fine. This movie is fun. Every single member of the crew gets a part. You know, there's Scotty. You know, Tim McCoy when they go to the factory and you know he's on the computer. Hello, computer. You know, who's to say he wasn't the guy who invented the thing? That's great. And you know, we're looking for nuclear vessels. Nuclear vessels. What did I say? And Admiral, she's the Enterprise. And I really love Kirk and Spock in this movie because this is after Search for Spock, to where they rejoined his mind and his body, but he's not quite himself anymore, and so he's trying to like relearn all these things, and you know, and Kirk is having a hard time with that too because he keeps calling him Admiral. He's like, "Call me Jim, Spock. We're friends. You call me Jim." And again, great moments of Leonard Nimoy comedy. You know, they get on the bus and they get kicked off, and then it's, what exactly did he mean by exact change? I really, and her name is now escaping me. Give me 1 second. Where is she? I really liked Catherine Hicks as Jillian Taylor. I think she's one of Kirk's best romantic interests throughout all of Star Trek, and she's really fun, and the way they play off each other is really great. And yeah, the whole, you know, last act of the movie, you know, being predicated on them saving the whales and all that's great. And it's also, again, it's very just classic Star Trek of just like, you know, Spock even says it when, you know, the probe is sending this message and they can't understand it. And Spock is the one to be like, what if it's not meant for us? You know, because we as humans, we think so highly of ourselves that, well, clearly any alien species coming to Earth wants to talk to us. It's like, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it's a great fun movie. It's a Star Trek movie that I think non-Star Trek fans can watch and just enjoy. There's a reason why this was the most successful Star Trek movie until the 2009 movie because of that. Because it's a very it's a fun movie, but I think also it's the best adaptation of the show into a movie.
Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek: The Voyage Home?
Yeah, so I love this movie. This is my number 2 movie on my list of all Star Trek movies, and it's a movie that I grew up watching with my grandparents. My grandma would just talk about the whales. She'd be like, "Ooh, we should watch the one that go and save the whales," and so yeah, like as far as being relatable, it's definitely the most relatable one for sure. And I love the whole like kind of fish out of water kind of aspect where they think they kind of know so much, but then they're going back in time to a time where they don't know so much. Like Kirk is like you've been doing a little too much LDS. You mean LSD? And then just like probably has the most humor in it, and I really like because like out of any movie genre, humor is my number 1 genre. So I mean, sorry, comedy is my number 1 genre. And yeah, like it's just like it's got the humor, it's got heartfelt moments, it's got things that from like Star Trek and the lore, and also taking like problems of today and being able to make that relatable to something that's set in an entirely different generation and way in the future, and it works really well. And I like I just have a blast with this movie. I can go back and just rewatch scenes of them walking around San Francisco, or them out on the uh the the like ship, or is it a submarine, or they're out on some kind of ship in the water? What?
They're on a aircraft carrier.
Oh yeah. And then them trying to help whales for some reason, but it actually really works, and it's heartfelt, and you're like with them on this journey, and yeah, for me, it's my favorite of the OG movies also. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy at number 2 for Voyage Home.
Yeah, like this is one of those ones like my only before watching it, my only sort of thing I knew of this is like it was making fun of space whales.
Yeah, yeah,
They're not
like
space whales; they're regular whales.
which is kind of like a Star Wars thing, space whales.
I'm pretty sure they did actually do space whales in this Star Wars thing at one point.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Clone Wars or
It was
Ahsoka
Epic-
now.
I think it was
Ahsoka very
I
recently
think it was
just had
Epic
'em.
Clone Wars or Rebels where they had a plot where they had to find
In
space.
Rebels, yeah, they do.
Yeah, but then in Ahsoka they have the space whales.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, but it's one of those ones like I enjoyed this enough. But again, like as I said with a lot of these the original series ones, like it's just one of those ones that just really felt like one of those ones where they just had a television plot point that they wanted to expand to movie length, and
Yeah.
it just felt like a little bit corny and all that. But look, and once again,
That's what
like,
Star Trek is.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things like it's just once again, when it comes to this, like everyone's gonna have different opinions, like depending on when they started watching Star Trek and all that, like, and that's fine. Like the different opinions is good.
Yeah.
But it's just this is just one of those stories which really felt like did they really like this is just one of those ones that felt like they really need to make the specific plot a movie. And it's just one of those ones where it just didn't land too much with me.
Malcolm, why do you hate whales?
Yeah.
Why do you support the hunting of them? Why do you hate whales?
I don't support the hunting of it.
But it's funny too, also because I'm going to point out that the first Star Trek motion picture, they got the dad from Seventh Heaven. Now they have the mom from Seventh Heaven in this one, Catherine Hicks. So it's kind of interesting.
I'm sure that's what WB was thinking when they cast it.
No.
But moving on from one Star Trek movie involving time travel to our number one, which is also involving time travel.
Wow, yeah, that's funny. Didn't even think about that.
And it's Star Trek First Contact. But Jordan, what are your thoughts about Star Trek First Contact?
Oh man, I love this movie. This movie's in my top 64. It's the only Star Trek movie to be in my top 64, and it's just so good. I love it to pieces, just because like it's another one that becomes more relatable when they go back in time and they find the guy that created the warp drive, and James Cromwell plays it so well. He's just like an old curmudgeon guy, and but then they get some really like badass moments from a lot of characters. Like Worf gets a cool moment when they're on the outside of the ship, and that whole scene that goes upside down, and then that you get some like funny stuff even from like LaForge, where the guy's like, I gotta take a leak. He's like, I'm not detecting any leaks or whatever. And then just and then the whole like the stuff with the Borg, and it's just like so good. The Borg Queen is terrifying, and just like that, like you really feel like there's no hope at like one point. Like these guys are done, they're dead, they're gone, and of course they're gonna find a way to survive. But yeah, it's just so well done. You just want to go like kick some Borg ass. You just want to take out these motherfuckers, and like because nobody else can, and you have some like really like cool lines from Picard. Like the line must be drawn here, and like and then like that whole scene with like Alfre Woodard, and I think she's like oh, what do you want to call it? The one above the captain, but she's there, and then like he gets like mad and like breaks the thing. He's like, you broke your little toy, or like whatever. There's just a lot of like fun lines, and like like just a good time, but it's like really intense. It's got it all. It's got intense moments. It's got humor. It's got a heart. It's got like some like deeper dark lore and themes and stuff, and it's just really great. And I love it to pieces. So yeah, First Contact rules.
Yeah, First Contact is great. Like First Contact is actually my personal number one as well.
Yeah,
like when I started this, like I did not expect like any of the like movies before 2009 to get anywhere near the top. I figured like I'm gonna like them, but they're all probably gonna hover around the 3.5 star. Like Replicant will be the highest out of those, but it's one of those ones like the Next Generations ones, kind of more action heavy and then well, I mean, not so much heavy in the action, but just a lot more action orientated, but still keeping the whole spirit of the whole like discovering new places and stuff as well.
Yeah, you have a good balance. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just one of those ones like this is probably going to end up in my this is probably going to end up in my top 128 favorite movies as well. It's just this is a solid 5 stars for me. It's just a lot of fun, and reading up like there was actually a point where though it was originally going to be called Star Trek Renaissance, where they go back to the 1500s, and there was going to be a plot point of Data like becoming Leonardo da Vinci's assistant and that, and
I'd
all
be
that.
down for that. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, but apparently they scrapped that because that they thought it was going to become like too campy, and apparently Patrick Stewart didn't want to wear tights and all that. Which is funny because I think I'm pretty sure
Well, he
he's done
dressed
a
him
Rob-
up as Robin Hood in the show, so he
Yeah.
wore tights already.
Yeah, I mean I might I like it, but I think maybe after he didn't want to wear them again, I think that might have been.
And I'm sure he's worn tights on the stage, probably.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those ones where seeing the Next Generation movies maybe actually want to go back and watch the Next Generation TV series because I had so much fun with the Next Generation movies that I'm definitely, when I get a chance, I'm definitely going to go back and watch those series. Maybe I'll watch the original series as well. I think they're both on Netflix for me.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, but Matt, what are your thoughts about Star Trek First Contact?
So I really like First Contact, even though it does things that don't really like Picard in this doesn't really act like Picard in the show. Picard in the show that because there's always that Kirk versus Picard. Kirk is the emotion-driven captain, whereas Picard is the thoughtful-driven captain. Kirk will jump into a group of enemies without thinking, and Picard will kind of sit back and be like, how can we take this? And then in this movie they're like, what if he was like Captain Kirk? A lot of people try to go, oh, it's because the Borg and all this, but like he met the Borg after he was Locutus a few times, and he didn't, Iborg is one of my favorite Next Gen episodes, and he certainly wasn't like, I'm gonna break this thing's neck, I'm gonna snap. But all of a sudden in this, he's like, I'm gonna break this thing's neck. There's that scene where they're in the holodeck. He's like, he's trying to like beat it with the machine. Like
he's just fed up, I guess. I don't know.
But it's like, what is that? And then they just make him John McClane the next one. It's funny. I talked about this when I was on Jordan's network when he's talking about Picard and how he digresses as a character when they go to the movies, which he does. But as a movie, I really quite enjoy this movie. This is far and away my favorite in the next gen movies. I think it's really well done. I think they took sort of Khan's story from Wrath of Khan and kind of gave Picard, which is like, you can't make your life about vengeance, you know. And they both use Moby Dick as the sort of jumping off point of, you know, being Ahab. And the whole point of that story is like, don't be Ahab. And obviously, you know, Alfred Woodard, you know, quotes, you know, Moby Dick, you know, or she doesn't quote it. She calls him out and calls him Ahab, and he responds angrily to him until he realizes, yes, this is exactly what I've started to become. Yeah, it's really good. I like the Borg Queen. We didn't talk about her yet. She's really, really good. And her whole story with Data, I think, is really well done. Yeah, it's a goodie.
Yeah. And it also shows, I was going to say that like Jonathan Frakes knows how to direct, because he directed this, and I was at the Star Trek panel that he did, and he's going to be directing some episodes of Strange New Worlds coming up, and
well, he directed episodes of the show before this.
Oh yeah,
like, but Measure of a Man, I think, was one of the ones he did.
Yeah, that one's one of the best episodes.
Yeah, and then he also did Insurrection, which say as well. He also
so yeah, it just makes me interested to go check out Strange New Worlds. I plan to watch it, but I want to finish. Like, where I'm at is I'm like finishing my rewatch of Next Generation, and then I watch part of Picard season 3. I watched the first 2 and then took a break because I wanted to finish my rewatch. But then I like couldn't wait. I'm like, I want to see just a little bit, like 2 episodes, and then I'll go back. I kind of like just couldn't wait as a Star Trek nerd. So, but yeah. So, and then I'll get to Strange New World.
Meanwhile, as a Star Trek nerd, I didn't even finish season 1 of Picard.
Oh,
not like that show.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons are not good, and the third is like totally like way better.
Why is Picard cursing? That's not Star Trek. What he doing, Paramount?
And it's too action heavy, in my opinion. So,
what did you say, Malcolm?
Make it fucking so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like that's
that moment.
What the? That.
But yeah, and apparently Patrick Stewart was one of the few cast members that had script input in this one, because apparently it was actually him that kind of made it sort of a little bit more action orientated.
Oh, so Patrick Stewart spent 7 years not understanding his character.
Well, no, I don't think it's a case of not understanding it. I think maybe you just want to do more action in the movies.
Like, this is different. We'll do this. Yeah.
And also, Frakes was not the first choice to direct. One of the directors,
George Lucas.
No.
No.
Yeah. Although that would have been funny. Ridley Scott and John McTiernan were apparently in the choices.
So Scott would have been interesting because obviously he's got like Alien, Blade Runner, but McTiernan would have been even way more action heavy.
Yeah,
I mean, McTiernan's a good director. Like, Hunt for October is one of my favorite movies. Don't get me wrong. Like,
yeah,
actually no. Maybe this movie actually might have been better with McTiernan. And if he went in with not a Predator Die Hard mindset, but a Hunt for October mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Trek is submarines. That's the whole thing.
But but apparently Patrick Stewart met a potential candidate and concluded that they didn't know Star Trek. So I don't know if he was talking about one of those two or if it was a different domain.
Okay. Given that, 20 butts bets it was a meeting with Ridley Scott, because Ridley Scott's kind of a dick.
Yeah, but
so I feel like they sat down and he was like, "I've actually never watched Star Trek. Is it like Alien? I did Alien. Did you know that? Which, you know, if you know anything about Alien, Ridley Scott was the director, but it was a different person who really made Alien.
Yeah. But I still want to see. I'm still waiting. it'll probably never happen at this point. But if we ever get Quentin Tarantino,
That's a
Star
Dan
Trek,
O'Bannon.
that would be freaking amazing. I want to see Tarantino direct Star Trek.
But yeah, but apparently, just something else that I just quickly saw. So apparently, they had a lot of leaks when they were making Generations. That they did stronger measures to take into prevent a similar occurrence. Apparently, some script pages were distributed on red paper to attempted photocopies or faxes, and they had trouble so much that they had trouble reading the scripts.
Well, it's not that surprising because this was the internet was really, because this movie comes out in '96, so the internet was really starting. So that whole like Harry Knowles and everything, like sharing scripts and information, like it's not that surprising that was something that happened on Generations, because obviously Generations was '94, so they didn't fucking really understand the internet. Makes sense.
But anyway, but that is Star Trek. That is our Star Trek ranking. Just to recap our ranking, at number 13, we had Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
My list.
At 12, we had Star Trek: The Final Frontier. At 11, we had Star Trek: 3's Search for Spock. At 10, we had Star Trek: For the End of the Other. No, 6, the end. I think I've done that wrong, but I think Undiscovered Country is 6, right?
Yes, it's 6. Did you get your Roman numerals messed up?
Yeah, clear.
Well, you also put Search for Spock Star Wars.
I did the same thing. Yeah. Oh.
I did not. It says Star Trek.
Yeah, but you go back and you watch the tape. All right.
Yeah, right.
I was hoping no one caught that, and I was.
What do you mean? I called you out in the moment.
To be honest, I didn't hear this. Star Trek Nemesis is at 9. At 8, we got Star Trek Into Darkness. At 7, we've got Star Trek The Wrath of Khan or Wrath of Mat. At 6, we got Star Trek Beyond. At 5, we got Star Trek Generations. At 4, we got Star Trek 2009. At 3, I got Star Trek Insurrection. At 2, I got Star Trek The Voyage Home. And number 1 is Star Trek The First Contact.
Yeah. Which is funny. You just take my list that I have here up on my letterbox. You just switch the Undiscovered Country and The Search for Spock, and that's my list. Like it's literally almost the same because I was the guy in the middle, like pulling you guys in different directions.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the start of it ended up being the same, but then like I think at up to Wrath of Khan, then I think it all kind of all got jumbled around. But
this is absolutely nothing like my list.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is the ranking for another thing. The winner of the poll is top 12 body swap movies. So that should be an interesting list.
So freaky.
Yeah. And it's one of those things. I'll let people know, and when I'm start inviting people, I'm going to be relatively loose on the term body swap because like there's ones that are technically not body swap, like 30 going on 30, but it's like there's arguments there that they could count. So, but Matt, where can people find you online?
Okay, scroll back. I already plugged myself, but I'll do it again, I guess. You can find me at parents_Matthew on Twitter. You can find me on WordPress at MattMovie611, which is the same as my YouTube channel. Pay attention to both of those because starting this upcoming week, I'm going to have a lot more content going on both of them. Hopefully, if life doesn't get in the way. Which speaking of, I'll mark it here. The next video I have coming on my channel is going to be my James Bond actors ranking, which should be interesting. You can also find me here as the host of Second Look. I have an episode on Star Trek: The Motion Picture, which I implore everybody to go and check out because I think it's a very misunderstood Star Trek movie. Also, as I said, Sadie Robinson, who was supposed to be on this, our old show on here, we did a 2-part episode on Star Trek where we talked about our top 5 favorite characters, our top 5 original series episodes, top 5 next gen episodes, and then we ranked the Star Trek movies, which I think there were 13 at that time. I'm trying to remember. Years ago. But you can also... No, it probably was, because Beyond was 2016. Yeah. So you can also find me as the host, co-host of Simple Tricks Nonsense with Abe Flores. Where have episodes been? I don't know, because Abe is an aloof guy, but hopefully we'll be getting more of that. And if you're wondering, yeah, I'm broken inside.
And Jordan,
sorry, not sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so speaking of the body swap movies that come out, I was gonna show off another person we met from Freaky. We met Catherine Newton right there, and I don't know why Wolf looks so creepy next to Catherine Newton. Like, he looks like he's like about ready to like pounce on her or something. But that was me as Sora. That was my costume from Kingdom Hearts. Let's see. I won't dive too deep into the stuff we have going on. We have a lot going on the channel. I'm kind of maybe overdoing it a little, but that's okay because I'm having fun with it. But if you go to, I'll just plug the Movie Hero Network group on Facebook. That's probably where we post the most, and you can find updates on the channel, what we have going on, and if you have anything that you're working on and like a movie related project or TV or pop culture or if you have a YouTube channel, you can go post to your heart's content with that there, and we'll share it out. We'll tell people to subscribe, all of that fun stuff. We'll support you. And then we do some trivia, which we'll be doing trivia soon. It's called the Seen and Heard Movie Trivia. It's movie clips, and you just try to name the movie from the clips. And the next one is going to be an exhibition match. That's going to be a horror exhibition match for the month of October. And we might be doing 2 of those because it's been pretty popular. I've had to turn down quite a few people. So if you're still interested, just let me know. There may be some spots on a second one, maybe. But and then we'll get back into our tournament. We do have a kind of slow burn tournament going on that we're almost through round 1 of that. So that's still going. And then tomorrow night we have a show that's called Recast that we've been having a lot of fun with. We just take popular movies and we recast them. So tomorrow we are recasting The Matrix. So we're going to talk about all of our top casting choices for that. And we've done stuff like Lord of the Rings and Jurassic Park and Back to the Future and all of that stuff. Aliens, we did all of that. So you can go check those out. And then for tournament fights and tier ranker, what we have in the next week, we're just finishing up our horror mystery series where I have a website where I can randomize every horror movie ever made, and we made 4 tournament brackets, so 4 separate episodes, and then the Sweet 16 from each of those will be in a championship episode the Tuesday before Halloween. So we're on to part 3 and part 4 that's coming up this week, and then we are trying to find a spot, which I think we're close to nailing it down, because we weren't able to finish our 2000 ladder series. The championship got postponed because my co-host Austin. So I was out of town at this convention, and then Austin was caught up in those hurricanes. He was pretty much at ground zero in North Carolina, so he's doing all right. He's safe, and then he was just without power and internet for a couple of days, and so he wasn't able to get to that. So we're going to be doing it soon. Probably Wednesday is what we're shooting for. It's most likely actually. All but confirmed, so we'll be doing it then. And then we want to do it then because after that we have our best movies of 1999 series that's coming up. That's going to be a banger of a series because 1999 was a huge year for movies. So I'm excited to talk about that. So yeah, that's where you can find me. So yeah,
Malcolm, we did a recast of Lord of the Rings on the old live show. You remember that? When your wheel recasted Lord of the Rings for us.
Oh yeah, no, that's all right.
Yeah, it was one of those random episodes where we didn't have a topic, so you did that. All I remember was Arnold was Frodo in my cast.
Oh, jeez.
No, well, I mean, this was.
I think Will Smith was like Legolas or something, or Gandalf.
Yeah, no, this was just one of those random shows.
Keep my ring out shop in hand.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Before that,
so I think I did that. I think I did it once, and then it's like, yeah, I'm not doing this again. But like,
I don't know. I had fun.
I mean, it was fun. Just basically, I put a whole bunch of actors on a reel and just like spun it for everyone, just see what random cast we could make. Is like
Nice.
Pretty funny.
I love randomness, like random things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know when you do it, but you could all like as a definite idea for like your recast. So you could always do one of the Star Trek movies at some stage. I don't know what one.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah. I think we definitely will do one. We're trying to go with like the most popular ones. So maybe First Contact or
Well, I mean, like Wrath of Khan, I think.
or
there's-
Wrath of Khan too. Yeah. Because that was
Yeah,
like
well, they already
universally
recasted
known to
Wrath
be
of
the
Khan,
most
though,
popular.
twice.
Yeah, true. We'll do a better recast.
New
than what
Next
they did.
Generation. No
Yeah.
one's recasted those people yet.
Yeah. Right.
I'm surprised they didn't try and shoehorn Picard into the new ones. Honestly.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can find me here and there. Like I'll be on the 2000 championship as well as the horror match on Friday.
Yeah. The number 4 you'll be on. Yeah.
But you can also find me popping up here and there on here next week. On Rankum is going to be top 12 body swap movies, and then and you can also follow me on my on the show on my personal YouTube channel, Spear from the Past, where I talk about a WWE, ECW, or WCW pay per view, and then me and a guest that knows wrestling talks about it. And then next episode we're doing is WCW Uncensored from '95, and then you can sort of find me popping up here and there as well. But until next time, we shall see you when we see you, and make it so.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.